Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to show you how to finish off the top of my new hat pattern. So this is the Cornwall hat. I will come back at the end and show you what it looks like all finished, but I've just knitted a new version and you end up with 8 stitches at the top here. So today I'm going to show you how to finish off those 8 stitches and then how to weave in the end, because the final end you have to weave in on the outside because you can't get to the inside because there's a tube that's closed at both ends. So you can't get to the inside of it. So you have to join it on the outside. So I'm going to show you how to do that and then I'll show you what it looks like completely finished. So this is a tutorial that you can use for anything that's knitted in a closed kind of tube that you have to finish the weaving in the ends on the outside. So I'm going to take it downstairs and show you how to do that. If you're new here, my name is Anniken. I design knitting patterns. I teach knitting workshops online and in person, and I sell yarn through my website YarnAddict.co.uk. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I've ended up with 8 stitches. I'm doing magic loop. You can do this in double pointed needles as well. If you use double pointed needles, I suggest on the final round, when you only have 8 stitches, that you put them on just 2 double pointed needles, because if you have 3 or 4 in use, it just gets very confusing. But I've got magic loop, so I find it easier when I start this if I have them both on my needle tips, because they're kind of a bit more under control. And then I've broken the yarn, so I got my tail. I like to leave my tails relatively long because I think that's better. Now I did nearly run out of yarn on this hat. I ran out of yarn here and then only had a few rounds left, and I was really annoyed because if I'd done 1 round less of the pink, I would have had enough. And really, because I had less pink yarn than purple yarn, I should have done the pink side first, but I didn't think about that. And I found a tiny bit of another ball in the same colour, so that's good. So that's where the working yarn is coming from. I stitch on the back needle. So I'm going to go through all the stitches in the same direction I would be as if I was knitting. So if the working yarn is coming from that stitch on the back needle, I go into the first stitch on the front needle. If I go into that stitch, you're going the wrong way around. So go into the first stitch on the front needle, take it off, go into the next stitch, take it off, next stitch, take it off, and the next stitch and take it off, and then pull the yarn all the way through. And then I'm going to pull these stitches all the way around to the other end. So you've got to make sure that you carry on going around in the circle. So you don't want to start the back from that side, you want to start it from this side, so as if you were knitting it. So I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's it. Pull that through and let's just have a look at this. Now before you do this, or before you start shaping the crown, you do want to weave in all your ends. So the cast on end, and if you change colours, the end where you change colours in the middle. If you have to join another yarn, do weave in your ends before you get this far. I actually did a clasped weft join when I joined in the yarn. It makes it look a little bit bulkier, and I can just about see it there, but because it's right at the top, I don't really mind. But you need to weave in your other ends before you get here, because that hole is like the size of my finger. So you need to make sure that you weave that in before you get that far. Okay, so now I'm going to pull that tight to close up that hole. And then what I normally do to secure it a bit more is that I go through again in the same direction I was going. So if you're not sure what that is, look at it before you close it up. So let me just loosen it a bit again. So the yarn's coming out of there, so I'm going to carry on going through in this direction. I'll close it up tight first, and then I'm going to go through in this direction and just try and go through all these stitches, or at least half of them again. Don't worry if you can't do this, if you can't see where you're going, it doesn't matter too much, but it'll just secure it a little bit more. Pull that tight, and then I have to weave in this end without it showing, and that's a little bit tricky because obviously I am doing it on the outside. So what I normally do, it's actually the same way I weave in ends for brioche. So I'm going to find a row of knit stitches and I'm going to go under the 2 legs. Can you see that? Under those 2 legs and through. Then I go 1 row down, under those 2 legs and through, and then 1 row down, under the 2 legs and through. So I'm going back and forth under 2 legs each time. Like that, a few stitches down, so I don't know, 4 or 5 stitches, and then because I've ended up on this side, I'm going to go in the column next to it, under 2 legs, under 2 legs, on the next one up, under 2 legs, and then we'll do 1 more. I think that's enough. There we go. Now what you can do, which I will show you actually, is I'm going to take the yarn to the inside the loop, so make sure you don't go through on the other side of the hat. But I'm going to just take this inside the hat where I come out there and then pull that through. Then I'm going to tighten it a bit. So pull it tight, and then I'm going to trim the yarn up. Make sure you don't cut your knitting. So then when you pull it again, the end ends up inside the hat and it's not going to be poking out on the outside. So that's what it looks like. There we go. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to go back upstairs and show you what this hat looks like finished. This is what it ends up looking like. Once I finish the hat, it's a tube like that. And then I just take one end, thread it inside the other one, and then just make sure the cast on end and the cast off end meet in the inside. Just stretch it a bit, fluff it around a bit, make sure the edge is lined up, and then depending on which side out you wear it, so I haven't actually put it on yet, this is the first time I'm putting it on, so depending on how long you want this brim to be, you can add length or subtract length. That's what it looks like on this side, and then if I turn it around to the other side, so the pink is the main side out, so you can do it in just 1 colour, or you can do it in 2 colours. There we go. So you get a bit of extra warmth over your ears and your forehead. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. And if you don't want the brim, then this is one I knitted for Simon just before Christmas. You can just have it, and you can make it, if you want it slouchy, you can make it slouchy. If you want it less slouchy, you can make it less slouchy, just like that. So this is knitted in the same way, it's just shorter basically. So, and this is one I knitted for myself last winter. Yeah, last winter I think I knitted this one for myself. I also have one in pink that I knitted for myself earlier last autumn, which I took to Norway with me when I went in January, and it is still in Norway. I left it there because I'm going back in a couple of weeks. I left it there. So this is another one I knitted for myself. So I like them a little bit, but there's a little bit of height there, because that means that if it's really bad weather and I want to pull them down really far, I can do. I don't normally pull my hats down that far. There you go. So this is the Cornwall hat. I will link the pattern below. There is a tutorial linked in the pattern for doing the cast on. You can use a regular cast on if you want to, but I prefer to use the disappearing loop cast on. You can also use the Emily Ocker cast on, and I have those cast ons linked in the pattern because I have tutorials for both of those. So I'll link the pattern below. I used this one, I don't remember what I used. This one I used Allegria from Manos de Uruguay, Allegria, and it takes less than a skein. I will weigh this actually so I can give exact yarn amounts. And then this one I made using 2 colours of Manos de Uruguay Allegria, and I will link those or put those colours down in the pattern. I think the pink is called Cactus Flower, and I don't remember what the purple is called, but that'll be in the pattern. Matches my top this morning. Okay, so that is it for this tutorial. Let me know if you've tried to knit a hat like this before. There are loads of other similar hats available. This is by no means unique. Most commercial hats you buy are also knitted in this kind of way, and so you can use this tutorial for other hats that are knitted in the same way if you want to. But I'll link my pattern below. It's available on Ravelry and Payhip. And let me know if you have any questions, or if you've used knitted a hat kind of like this before. Let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing.